let's move distally, shall we? So distally to the arm or the brachial region, we're going to find the forearm or antebrachium region. Remember, it's between the elbow and the wrist, and it contains two bones. We have the ulna and the radius. The radius is lateral. Here is the antenna of the radius, okay? And the ulna is medial on the forearm. So let's start describing the ulna. Look at this. It looks like a monkey wrench, right? This is the ulna. These processes are facing superiorly, and this part is facing inferiorly. Okay? How do we know if this is right or left? Okay, look on this side. Do you see that fossa in there? That depression? See that we don't have it in the other side. Okay, let me remove this number so you can see it better. Look at that. See, that fossa is called the radial notch of the ulna, and it's called the radial notch. You know why? Because it receives the radius. So if it receives the radius to form a joint, and we know the radius is lateral, the side where the notch is lateral. So if we know that this is lateral and this is superior, so this is a right ulna, like that or like that, okay? So what we're going to describe on the ulna. Let's start at the proximal epiphysis. And you're going to see two processes, two parts of bone that are sticking out, and in the middle there is a notch, right? The one, the biggest, the one on top, is called the olecranon process of the ulna, and this one is the coronoid process of the ulna. In between, this is the trochlear process, the trochlear notch. Now, the way I remember, oh, I didn't put it here, OTC, over-the-counter medicine, OTC. O for olecranon process, T for the trochlear notch, and C for the coronoid process. You need to have this very clear so we can build the elbow articulation in the next slide, I guess. And we already described laterally, remember this is located laterally, the radial notch that receives the radial head to form the proximal radial ulnar articulation. Now, if you remember from your lecture classes, remember that the radio and the ulna, they're not like this, like they're shown in this image. They're actually joined proximally and joined distally. And in the middle, we have this membrane, which is called the interosseous membrane that consists in regular dense connective tissue. And these joints are going to be described later. So it's like that. They're like this. The radius and the ulna. They're joined proximally and distally, and in the middle we have the membrane. Okay, then let's move down to the shaft. Right, in the diaphysis, there's nothing that we're going to describe here in the ulna. But distally, on the distal epiphysis, there are two or three, let's see, two things that we're going to describe in here. We're going to describe this round surface is the head of the ulna. So this is the only bone that is upside down, okay? That the head is pointing down. It's not the only bone. There are two bones. Later I'll tell you which one. And this projection that see there is, it points or it descends more inferior than the head of the ulna. This is the styloid process of the ulna. Again, you need to be specific because we have styloid process on the skull, we have styloid process on the ulna, and styloid process on the radius. Okay, And this styloid process, it can be palpated right here on your wrist. Okay. So again, olecranon process, coronoid process, in between trochlear notch. This is the radial notch, the head of the ulna, and the styloid process of the ulna. Let's describe now the radius, which is the lateral bone. Oh, look at that. OTC. Then the radial notch, head of the ulna, and the ulnar styloid process. Let's describe now the radius. Yeah, I'm on top of that image. The radius. So the radius, remember, located on the lateral side, and we said that the thumb is the antenna of the radius. Look at that. Look at the head of the radius. I'm going to remove, oh my God, you're making me work on the double, but let's do it. For you, everything. Look at the head. See, it looks like the knob of the radius. So whenever you see this type of head, that's the radius, okay? So this is the radial head. Under the neck, do you have a neck? Yes, we have a neck. And then we're gonna find this rough area that is labeled in here. And here is with the green, that's the radial tuberosity. And the radial tuberosity, remember, tuberosity is just an elevation, a ridge of the bone. You see it there? It's like a bump in there. And it's rough. And in there attaches or inserts the brachial, the biceps brachialis. What else? Let's go down and we're going to see another styloid process. It's the most inferior point of the radius of the radius. And I didn't put it? Well, but medially in here, we can see the ulnar notch of the radius. In the ulnar notch of the radius, don't get confused, this can be like a tongue twister, articulates with the head of the ulna. So proximally, the head of the radius articulates with the radial notch of the ulna, and distally, the head of the ulna articulates with the ulnar notch of the radius. Oh. Okay, I was going to show you something. Look in detail, the epiphysis. And actually all of these bones are like that. Look at this one. Do you see this line? Is that a fracture? What happened in there? What is that? Question. On the humerus. Look, what is that line in there? Can you see? Now we know that these bones belong to a person that is under 23 years of age. Why? Because the epiphyseal plate is still open. Okay, so this bone is still growing. After, you're gonna see it like that. It's fused totally. And what we can see on x-rays is just the line. With bad intentions, you can see it in there. Okay, so see, no. Before finishing this one, let me cover right here that we just started describing the proximal and distal radioulnar articulations. Okay, so I don't know why they put it like that, but proximal, closer to your body, right? Closer to the elbow. Radius, ulnar articulation. And, of course, it's the other way. And the distal, closer to the wrist, radioulnar articulation. So it's exactly like this. So what are the articulating surfaces on the proximal radioulnar articulation? Well, we have the head of the radius and the ulnar and the radial notch on the ulna, proximal. And distally, we have, this is the head of the radius here, and this is the ulnar notch on the radius, and you put them together. In between, remember, that's the interosseous membrane. What are the movements that these articulations allow? This is a pivot articulation. There's a ligament in here keeping these two together. So the movement is a pivot movement. And during supination, which is in anatomical position found facing anteriorly or superiorly, if we're laying down, this is supination, like you're holding a bowl of soup, supination. And this is pronation, when you're tipping, okay, when you're giving a tip to the waiter, that's pronation. So supination and pronation. And this movement, or during this movement, see that during supination, which is anatomical position, both bones, the radius and the ulna, are parallel. But during pronation, the radius cross over the ulna, okay? And that movement is thanks to the proximal and the pivot movement at the proximal and distal radioulnar joint. See you later, alligator.